Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining and listening this morning. I want to share a few case studies over the next, couple of weeks or so. Different conditions, working with people with different types of conditions, and how I approach that in my Osteothai Thai massage treatments. So during the trainings that I give, I quite often talk of all these different cases in the context of course, what we're doing in the trainings. And that, I think, helps with sort of moving something from being quite theoretical. It's like, okay, so we do this, and then it could work like that, blah, blah, to into that space of an applied, actual, practical, real life example. Because when I then share, the experience of working with someone who dealt with X, Y, and Z, I would also include what didn't work or what was difficult about it, or any of that. So I thought that might be quite, interesting, and I thought I'd share some of these here. So I wanted today start talking about working with people dealing with colitis. I'm going to pull on a couple of different people that I worked with, and they were slightly different, but they're also very, very similar. So I'm just going to sort of pull that together into kind of one example. But to give a little bit of background, they're both women in their 40s and 50s. And it was quite severe, to the point that they were experiencing quite a lot of pain on a daily basis. They had severe problems to control their bowel movement, which then was really debilitating, and had a huge impact on all aspects of their life, their personal life, their intimacy, their kind of being able to be social. Their work as well really impacted them, being able to do their work. And all together, it was a really stressful time for both of them. I recall that both these cases that I'm thinking of was quite a while ago that I worked with them. But I worked with them for several months, both of them. And in fact, one of them kind of still work with her on a really regular basis, at least once a month, if not more. Usually, probably every other week. And before I go on to talking about what I did in the Thai massage sessions with them, or Osteothai sessions with them, I want to say how important it was that both of them were able to do a whole range of different things, and it was very much being part of integrative care. And in my mind, that was key to them actually healing their colitis. They're both colitis free now. So one of them worked with a nutritionist, the other one with an Ayurvedic doctor. They both changed their diet significantly. They both had, certain kind of supplements and different things that they've been advised to take. They both had a daily practice or something. One was yoga, the other one was mindfulness, and they really held on to that. It was kind of like their anchor on a daily basis. One of them also took some therapy to deal with some kind of sort of family dynamics, and generally quite kind of loaded and emotional time. And there was also a very strong support structure in place for both of them, as in they had people around them, they had friends and a life partner, family, children. So adult children. So they had people who had their back, who were supporting them. So all of that was really, really important. And I know that that will probably most likely be the issue for most people, being able to heal conditions like this, because I'm just always so acutely aware when I work with people who are dealing with chronic conditions, how of course a lot of that care is not available to many people, and that a huge element in that is also a question of privilege, and what isn't available through the public health system, or that people don't have that support structure, for example. So there's so many different factors in this, and I do know that with these two ladies, it took so much. It took everything for them to get to that better place. And I almost felt like the privilege to be able to be part of that kind of support network. I was one piece in that. And so here's what I could do, how I could support them in different ways. And kind of one thing that obviously will jump to mind is like, yes, we'll kind of be working on the organs and kind of address the issues. But really, the majority of what I supported them with was everything around that. So first of all, simply holding space. So, I made sure I had the time to listen, and that we allow time to, not rush in and out, but that this was like really their dedicated time. So I knew that that is what we were working with, and I'm very good at setting my boundaries and to not overgive on time. And at the same time, that was part of the session, that I was there to listen. And we need to be aware of how this is dysregulating the nerve system, what a stressful time this is. But also, colitis could well be a condition that, has sort of some relationship to a past trauma. So listening and for those people to feel heard and seen, and felt, that's a huge part. And to at no point say something as stupid, gosh, I can imagine how difficult that must be. No, you can't, because if you've not dealt with colitis that severe, you have no idea what that is like to deal with that, what that situation is like when you might, not be able to control your bowel movement out in public, or, unless you've actually dealt with it. So being very trauma aware and holding that space and the way you listen. So that's a huge part of it. And that's before we've even started the actual treatment. A lot of it was, to give them a break from that stress of dealing with it. So we were lucky, for the hour and a half or so of the session, they were feeling okay. The pain was maybe not so much there. They were lying there and they could forget about all of that for a little bit, and to give them an hour and a half of feeling, good. And that is so valuable to, and like really, again, we haven't started treating anything yet, but to just give them a break, that was so powerful and so important in this whole thing, because of course that helps also regulate the nervous system and supports the general healing process. It gives, it's kind of, you're just holding somebody's hand for a little while, and you're saying, I'm here and it's okay, and for them to maybe find a way to exhale again for a change. With Thai massage and osteothai treatments, with this kind of body work, we're working the whole of the body. So as part of the kind of dealing and coping with this, but also maybe because there is a trauma at the root of it, it could be there might well be a level of dissociation playing a part in this. So working in a way where they really get to feel their whole body again, that's a huge deal. And so we can help the process of overcoming that dissociation with their body, for them to come back into their body. So we are quite aware that something like colitis, there is usually some kind of story going on around that in the background. And so helping people to come back into their body and feeling their body, that's a huge deal. Then I was also taking care of all of the other aches and pains and tensions that they were holding. Both of them were dealing with quite a lot of stress, tension, and other pains really being elevated during this dealing with their flare-ups and chronic conditions. So everything else in their body was really heightened too. Kind of joint pain, shoulder pain, and things, niggles. One of them has always had a hip thing going on, and that was just so much worse during that time. So we were also alleviating some of the other pain and issues, and again allowing them to feel a little better in their body overall. So that was really important to figure out, okay, so what else is going on right now? What's playing up? What's showing up? What's bubbling up to the surface? And to maybe work around that a little bit. Absolute key, of course, is really focusing on regulating the nervous system. So whatever, kind of different techniques and tools I had in my toolbox, we would always bring some of those out and really focus on regulating the nervous system. Hugely important in any healing process. So, and this is a kind of chicken and egg situation in a way, because the dysregulated nervous system might be at the root of the colitis, and dealing with that struggle of it is further dysregulating the nervous system. It's hugely stressful. So if you're able to regulate the nervous system and maybe offer one good night's sleep, that is worth so much. And there's only really ever any healing taking place in the body when people are not in their activated mode. They need to come back into their safe space, their comfortable space in their nervous system, for the story of the health to be fully expressed again. I would also work on the cranial sacral system, which is very much linked to that, and that is for general health, for restoring health in the body, for making sure there was communication, there was flow. It's really almost like a foundation that we lay down when people are needing to heal something in their body, to make sure the cranial sacral system is healthy, it's in communication, it's in flow. So I would always make sure I would spend some time on that. And yes, of course, we would also work on the organs and on the abdomen. And with both cases, we would sort of approach that quite slowly, to see how that felt, because obviously at times that might have been too painful if there was really acute inflammation going on. And to also see how they were responding, because we need to be very aware that when we start working here, we might be actually creating a flare-up, and we might be creating an episode. So I tend to, say, okay, let's have several sessions so that we can explore how far can we go. And then, and they need to be on board with that. They need to know that after the treatment, it might first get worse before it settles. And they need to be on board with that, because that's definitely the nature of the work. So we will work quite carefully and then go a bit more and more and more each session, and not necessarily every time more. Obviously, sometimes we might also go a bit less and deal with it, give it a bit of a break, and just kind of focus more on that having a break, and then the next session we could go again. But yes, for sure, I'll go and work directly on the organs, improve circulation and release all of the tension in the fascia surrounding the organs, get some movement going, making sure nothing was stuck and held, making sure all of the valves are functioning, and we would, eventually really go in there and release a lot of the tension that's held there. And we do hold so much tension in the abdomen. On a regular basis, there will also be quite an emotional release that would come from working in that area. I would also work on the liver, making sure that was really working for us as the king of the organs. The liver is supporting, and the heart, and the heart is combined with the small intestine. So, we can just kind of get all of the organs into communication so that they are doing their jobs well. They're all going to be challenged when dealing with such a strong case of chronic inflammation in the body. So yeah, I would probably pay some attention to all of the organs, but certainly the liver. So I'm sure I probably did more and things in different orders and all of that, but those would probably be the key areas that would feature in my kind of way of approaching this, working with people dealing with a chronic inflammation like that in their body. And yes, we did trigger a few flare-ups, and that was okay, because they both understood that was the kind of the body's intelligence kicking in, and that was okay. And I do remember that in one of the cases, we actually triggered after quite a lot of work, and remember they were both working really a lot on healing this, right? They did a lot of stuff. So and with one of them, I remember there was a really strong flare up after one of the sessions, and that really strong episode was a real turning point. After that, things kind of really shifted in the whole healing process. Things kind of took a bit more hold and started to settle, and there was a sort of clear, okay, we're slowly moving out of this. I mean, it needed that stronger episode for that shift to happen, and that's also often the case. And so we need to really make sure that we're building that trust and a safe enough space for them to be really comfortable with both those scenarios, with that happening, and to go through that, and you're there with them. So I don't know if that's helpful as a case study, as an example, if that gives some thoughts. We're very similar with different digestive issues and chronic conditions there. So many people deal with chronic digestive issues, for sure. So if you have any questions, please drop them below the video. I'm more than happy to talk more about this. Maybe I didn't quite touch on what, I don't know, some people that you're working with are dealing with. For me, always the kind of most beautiful way of working with people is to work with people long term, and in a way almost irrespective of if they've got a big thing going on or not. But it's like you're working with them on a regular basis. That means you have really got to know them really well, and they trust you. There's that openness. They do feel seen and heard by you. And so that means that whatever kind of story happens in their life, you are there to support them through that. So, all of these different stories and episodes of life that happen, the ups and downs, you're walking with them through those, and you can accompany them, and maybe be a part in supporting their healing process, and then you're also there through all of the good times, which is also really great. Anyway, so yeah, let me know if you find that helpful. If you have any cases, any people that you're working with and they're dealing with something specific, and you kind of wonder, you have some questions, any doubts, you're wondering maybe how to approach it, or you've tried lots of things but you're not so sure about that, or what else you might be able to do, any questions around specific cases, get in touch with me, message me, comment below the video. You probably know how to get hold of me. And maybe I've had a similar case and I can share my experience with that, or maybe I have some other thoughts on it in some way, of how I would approach it if I haven't had anyone with that condition just yet, which is very possible. And so yeah, if you have any questions, and then I'm more than happy to speak to all kind of different cases and conditions, from, I don't know, arthritis in your knees to herniated disc to inflammatory conditions. I don't know, whatever. So yeah, let me know. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening, and take care of yourself. Bye for now.